Mike, some people call us the Kylin Hill of YouTube. You know why?
Why is that?
Well, because we keep on doing this thing where we post for a little bit, disappear, post for a little bit, disappear. And if anyone knows Kylin Hill, he quit football his sophomore year, came back, led the state in rushing, played 4 years in college, opted out his senior year after 3 games. He's kind of on the same on again, off again schedule that we are. That's why I think it's more than it's only fitting that we get him with a little scouting report video here, Mike. Don't you?
Man, I feel like I'm usually the one ripping on people, but man, this video you coming off strong. I like it. I agree with you, man. We're the Colin Hill of YouTube.
Well, I don't really mean to come off strong because I actually really like Kylan. I really do. As questionable as that might have sounded, I think that a lot of what he shows on tape is really positive, and we'll get into that in the grading portion. But Mike, kind of just off the bat, do you have any concerns about that sort of on again, off again behavior? I guess you could say. I know one thing that we've kind of talked about is that we're not really grading somebody's intangibles, right, in terms of their personality. We don't have access to the interviews, so we don't really include that in. But if you were a team drafting him, would you be concerned about that or no?
I think we got to know what happens behind closed doors. Like what happened? Why did he only play 3 games in 2020? Really, what happened? And then if you look in the 3 games, there wasn't a ton going on within those 3 games. So, I what happened behind closed doors? Is it a character? Is it something with his character? Was his education maybe lacking? Like you see stuff like that happen all the time. I don't know Kylin Hill, but um, what happened? It's really dependent on that. But then also, it does seem like a small sample size, so that's a concern. Just from there, um, there's not a whole lot to be seen. I guess he did have 2018, 2019, but as a premier back, he really only had 1 year, and um, it was a good year at that. But um, yeah, there's definitely concerns there. But again, we're not in on interviews. We don't know what the conversations being had are, what happened at Mississippi State. So that could change. But yeah, just off of initial thought, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
concern.
yeah. No, and like you said, I mean, only 5 carries per game in those 3 games this year. I would understand why you'd potentially be upset. You come back for a senior season, you didn't technically have to come back, and then you're barely getting the ball. I understand why he would be upset, but no, that's a perfect way to put it. You definitely have to be in those interviews, like you said. The small sample size, although was a key contributor those sophomore and junior years. 6.3 and 5.6 yards per carry. That's very solid and kind of towards the upper tier of what we've seen to this point between all the running backs we've done. So pretty efficient as a runner. In terms of what you saw on film, Mike, I'll just go through my grade real quick. I thought his vision was solid. Like it was all right. A little bit worse than some of the earlier guys we've seen, like maybe the ETNs and Javantes. But I thought that his speed and acceleration really jumped off the tape. I thought that his north and south acceleration, when he sees a hole, he hits it. And, I have some questions about his downfield speed. There were a couple plays where he was getting hawked from behind, but from that sort of line of scrimmage to maybe 10, 15 yards downfield, this man is gone and in a hurry. So obviously, like that, I think he has a good mix of agility, power, and balance. So even though those scores might seem a little bit lower, I think what we've seen with a lot of the guys like say a Kenneth Gainwell or Michael Carter is that they were more extreme. Whereas I think with Kylan, he's sort of in that upper tier of balanced backs, if that makes sense. I don't know if you agree with that, but then carrying on from there, I thought his pass protection was fantastic. That just jumped off the tape to me as something that surprised me because as a 5'11", 209 guy who plays like a kind of speedier guy, I didn't really expect him to be having good pass block technique, but so far he's one of, if not the best guy that I've seen so far. Him and Javante are right up at the top. And other than that, yeah, I thought he was solid as a receiver. As we said, 15 rushes this past season, but like 23 receptions. So he's certainly usable there. Mike, do you agree that he's certainly in the discussion for that third back in this class?
Yeah, for sure. If everything else checks out, absolutely. Just based off of what we had on film, and if you look at the teams we watched, a lot of that's SEC football. That's just a different ball game than some of the, if you're looking over the Big 12, Pac-12, it's just not to the same competition level. Um, no, I totally agree, and I think it's really cool. Like Kenny, I think a question for that we've had about Michael Carter or some of the other running backs that we've looked at, can they be a premier running back? I think with him being so balanced in all these different categories, I think he could translate into eventually being a premier running back, which I maybe the last Michael Carter, Najee Harris, and some of those other um, individuals. I don't know if they have, they could, but I think Kylin Hill has the most well-rounded skill set to maybe eventually become a premier running back. I think the point that pass protection, we were both pleasantly surprised, but um, I think his pass catching grades maybe a little bit lower. I think it's probably a little bit more well-rounded. And I think that it kind of goes towards that premier. He's just well-rounded. Like if he is in the backfield, on a passing down. He could be blocking or he could go out for a route. I think he could do either or, and I think he has both skill sets, which I think allows him to be out on the field more often than not. So I'm right there. I'm right there with the grade. Um, I probably just based off and again, there's more concerns with him just not necessarily on film than there is Najee Harris, but just based off skill sets and what we've seen on tape. I'm taking Kylin Hill.
Mm. That's interesting, and I don't necessarily disagree. I think that as you can see, this is how our grades have, or my grades have broken down to this point. I think that Kylan is really close, if not right there. Like you said, the off the field stuff is what it is potentially, but I think in terms of just the well-roundedness, if I was a team that needed somebody who could both hit home runs as well as knock some doubles and singles, I might go with the Kylin Hill. I think that a guy like Najee Harris, yeah, he'd be great when you're up 14 in the fourth quarter, but I think Kylin Hill is the type of guy who helps you get up 14. I really do. I think that he's just dynamic enough in every area to where, like you said, he can pass catch, he can pass block. That was really the thing that surprised me the most about him. In all honesty, that I was just shocked because his technique was even better than Javonte Williams. I'll say that he had the best pass block technique that we've seen. It was just maybe his size compared to Javonte that I think held him back. And Javonte was a little bit more aggressive, whereas he was a little bit more finesse. But either way, incredibly effective. I saw solid all around. I really do. Maybe that small sample size and kind of fewer game reps could kind of come back to bite him a little bit. I think that maybe contributes to the slightly decreased vision compared to the other guys we've watched. But no, I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head. He's right there in that discussion for third best running back, fourth best running back, and I wouldn't be shocked if there are teams out there who, hey, if you cleared those concerns, I wouldn't be shocked if they did have him in that mid to late second round. Would you?
No, absolutely not. And I think for me, disclosure, I'm a gambling man. I think a lot of what you just everything, the whole picture for Colin Hill, it's very much boomer bust. I think with him, I could see him fading out really quick, but I can also see him being the running back that outperforms where he's actually drafted. Um, and I think it's a lot. It's a lot just of things we don't know, and whether he has the motivation to be really playing, but. I think he's probably the biggest gamble here out of any of the running backs we've really taken a look at. I think every other running back, there's a place for them. Um, Whether they're not premier running back, there's probably a place for them in the rotation as some kind of filling some kind of role.
Yeah,
But I think Calvin Hill has probably the most, as I said, well rounded, and I think he could be a premier running back, and I think that's where the boom comes through.
no, I definitely agree. I think that at their floors, like a Michael Carter, Kenneth Gainwell, like you could toss them out and into the slot every now and then, have them run a couple routes. You could use them as that kind of gadget piece, as we've talked about. Kylin Hill, I don't think that's quite there, or that ability is quite there to that level. But he's also at the same time a potential feature back. I really do think that he's just I'll say a slightly lesser version of kind of what we were talking about with Javonte Williams. Where it's just the balance all around, can make plays in every area, and I was really pleasantly surprised when I put on the film. So with that being said, though, Mike, you got anything else, or are we out of here?
Yeah, I think, if you guys have been watching these videos, have enjoyed these videos, want more of these videos, hopefully we don't throw another Colin Hill out there and take a hiatus. Then, like, comment, subscribe. If you do comment, hey, maybe you hated this video, let us know why. Maybe you love this video. Maybe you're really hoping your team drafts him, or maybe after the draft, you just want, some good information for what your team might be able to see. Let us know. We appreciate that kind of stuff. So I think that's about it. So I think we mic'd up and we mic it out. Deuces.
Peace, guys.